Welcome to today's fresh episode of You and the Law. Today we'll be discussing a very trending issue and something that affects us as youth. It's about governance. Youths in governance. What are the things that we need to know? What are the laws governing this particular aspect of governance? What are the requirements to hold a public office? You have an aspiration to, one day be the governor of a state. What are the things you must possess, or what are the things you have to be in order to get to that position? Is there a certain amount of money you must have, or is there a particular qualification you need to have? Today with me, we have a very reputable academician and a lawyer. His name is Mr. Tobi Awotoye Esquire. Mr. Tobi, you are welcome to the program.
Good evening.
Yes, thank you very much. And when we come back, we'll be going straight to the main topic. Stay tuned.
Death sentence or time of imprisonment, then you are not qualified to run for that office. Number 4, if you have been sentenced or fined for an offense that involves fraud or dishonesty, you cannot contest for a public office. That's number 5, right? Number 6, you have to just start checking yourself. If you are guilty of any of these things, then you cannot say that youths should occupy public offices. I hope you're getting me.
Yes.
Number 6, if you are in the public service of the state or the federal government, then you cannot say that you want to contest for any office. But there is a caveat to that. If you are in the public service of the state or the federal government, you can still contest in as much as you are not still in the employment of the federal or state government within 3 months to the election date. Number 7 now, if you are a member of a secret court or secret society.
Sorry to cut you short. For that for that requirement you were saying on whether you are holding a public office, because we have seen a situation whereby a senator basically
trust me, yes, of course. I always tell people that this is Nigeria, and so many things, you have so many things that are wrong, but we've never had a situation, or we have never had anyone take them to court to say that, see, this person has done this person is doing this, so he cannot contest legally because the constitution provides for this. We've never had that. No? Because, let me ask you this question. If you have, looking at the constitution, if you have a president who is occupying the office of the president and is going for another term, and the constitution says that you cannot be employed in the public service of the state or federal government for at least 3 months to the election, are you saying that the president will resign for those 3 months? Has it ever happened?
No.
How practicable is that provision of the constitution?
Okay.
Or you have a senator or a governor. Of course, that happens a lot. You have a governor, a sitting governor who is already doing in the second term of his administration, who now wants to go to the Senate.
We have a lot of them.
Do they resign? No. And of course, people always talk about the incumbent power. And it happens all the time. I think the only time it didn't happen was during the administration of the late Senator Ajimobi. I think that was the only time it didn't happen. But it always happens. It always happens. That provision of the constitution is not really practicable, particularly in this country.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that explicit explanation. When we come back from this very short break, we are going to continue examining the requirements of holding public offices in Nigeria. Welcome back from that very short break. This is still Late City Radio 89.1 FM, and the topic for discussion is youth and electoral process in Nigeria. What are the things we need to know when we aspire to hold public offices in Nigeria? And with me on this conversation is Mr. Tobi Awotoye, a very reputable academia and a distinguished lawyer in the city of Ibadan. Thank you very much, Mr. Awotoye.
Thank you.
Yes, so before we went on that very short break, we were talking about the requirements to hold public offices, and you have expressly stated about 7 of them, and you were basically talking about the secret cult aspects on before I before I cut you short. So can you please continue explaining that?
Yes, I think I mentioned about 7 of them, and I stopped on that of the secret cult. But I've always told my students this. I've always said that the Constitution is a standard, and what we do in Nigeria is trying to live up to the standard. The provisions of the Constitution are just the things that we expect in a sane society. We expect Nigeria to be that sane, right? But what we have in reality is not close to what the Constitution provides for. Now, having said that, is it possible for anyone to run for any public office in the country today without belonging to a secret society? Well, people will say yes. If you look at the example of Pastor Yemi Osinbajo, you say that he doesn't belong to any secret society.
Pastor Ize Yamoto of Edo State.
But look at most of them. Of course, I don't know that they belong to any secret society, but of course people have been saying that they belong to a secret society. If it's a secret society, why would I tell you that I belong to that society? How will you know that I belong to that society?
That's why it's secret.
That's why it's secret. Can you prove in a court that I'm a member of a secret society? If it's a secret society, like I said, the Constitution is a standard. What we have in practice, what we have in the society, in the Nigerian climate, is not what we have in the Constitution.
Yeah. Speaking of the Constitution, some people have argued that the Constitution is the basic problem of this country. What do you think about that? Is it a wrong assertion?
Well, I think I understand why people think that the Constitution is the basic problem of this society, of this country. Because number one, the Constitution was handed over to the Nigerian people by the military government. Right? Now, you cannot really say, if you look at the preamble of the Constitution, it says, "with the people of Nigeria." That means that it was, it became law, it was passed by the people, it was formulated by the people, which is not the case. We all know what happened. Of course, we have the Constitution Drafting Committee and all those things, but of course we know what really happened. It still had to go through the federal military government for it to become a constitution in Nigeria. But I don't think our laws in Nigeria are the problem. I don't see our laws as a problem. I see the practice, the enforcement of the laws as the problem. Our Constitution is fashioned after the American Constitution. They don't have the problems that we have in the country. Our criminal code is fashioned after the Indian criminal code. They don't have the kind of problems we have in this country. So the question is it the problem of the law or the enforcers of the law or the people in the country? I don't see the Constitution as a problem. If you amend the Constitution 100 times, we'll still keep having the problems we have in this country. Number one, because of the people that we have at the National Assembly, because of the people you have at the state houses of assembly, because of the governors you have in the country, because of the presidents that will vote into power. And the challenge is that it will keep happening. This is a cycle. It will keep happening. We'll keep voting the same set of people into power. But that's not my problem now. The truth, as you rightly asked, is that our Constitution might be part of the problem, but it's not the main problem we have in this country.
Because before we went on that short break, you were saying something about the constitution providing that a person resigns from the employment of the federal government or the state government before 3 months before the election. And
Election dates.
Election dates. And basically this isn't practicable, but the constitution still provide for this. Don't you think that the constitution is basically, in this regard, is basically deviating from the actual thing? Don't you think the constitution is supposed to provide for things that are practicable, things that can be practiced, rather than going on a voyage of things that cannot be practiced?
Well, I said that the constitution is just a standard for every society. The same way we have in chapter 2 of the constitution, we have some non-enforceable rights. We also have the enforceable in quote rights, and under that, sorry to deviate from the question, I just want to bring out some points, or a point. Under that, you have the right to life, you have the right to personal liberty, you have so many rights there. However, if you look at the reality, if you look at what obtains in the country, you see that yes, you have the right, but of course your right ends where that of others stops. That's the reality. You also know that if you look at some people, or if you go to some places, you know that you cannot say that I have this right. Particularly now, look at what happened at Lekki. Although people have said that it didn't happen, but we all know the truth. Look what happened there. Lekki told it. It happened, right? It didn't happen. Okay, well, my producer just said that. Oh, your producer just said that it didn't happen, but we all know what happened there. Look at what happened at I don't know where the military beat some people now at Beret today. You have the rights, but of course we know that the reality, what we have in reality is different. We can enforce these rights, but of course people won't want to take that risk. However, you also have the provisions relating to you resigning from public office or public service 3 months to the date of the election.
But they won't do it.
But they won't do it because that will now put you at a disadvantage in court.
Using the power.
Because you want to use the power of the office that you have to win what you want. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Use what you have at hand to get what you want. That's the reality. But of course the constitution says it shouldn't be so. That's the standard. But that's, like I said, there's a difference. Let me just say there's a difference between law in practice and law in the book. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is law in practice. Of course, they want to tweak it a bit to